If you're thinking about buying the Kingston DataTraveler Exodia, or you already have one and wonder if it lives up to the hype, you're definitely in the right place. Today, I'll reveal the honest truth behind this USB drive, its strengths and serious weaknesses you won't hear from typical reviews. But here's what surprised me. Despite its solid specs and flashy promises, this seemingly perfect flash drive has some annoying problems you need to know before you waste your money. So stick around, because I'm about to show you what no one else will, and it might just change your mind. First off, let's clear the air. Kingston's DataTraveler Exodia advertises USB 3.2 Gen 1 speeds, which sounds impressive for quick data transfers. Large loop for your keys, check. A protective cap so you don't lose the USB plug, smart move. Available in capacities up to 256 GB. That's definitely a sweet spot for most users. It looks sleek and is designed to handle work, school, or everyday data shuffling. Sounds like the dream, right? But why are some users complaining about disconnect issues and heat buildup? What's the deal with its durability? And the real question, is it worth your $13 and some change? Let's dive in. You might be wondering who this USB flash drive is really for. If you're a casual user who occasionally backs up photos or moves some music around, the DataTraveler Exodia could seem like the entry-level solution. But if you're someone who handles large files regularly, depends on quick, reliable transfers, or needs ruggedness for daily use, well, it might not be the best fit. More on that in a bit. Let's talk performance, the heart of every storage device. The USB 3.2 Gen 1 interface promises theoretical speeds up to 5 Gbps, which should be great for moving files quickly from your laptop, desktop, or even monitors with USB ports. In real life, on well-optimized systems, it delivered decent read speeds close to advertised specs, which is nice. It supports Chrome OS and various Windows machines too, so connectivity isn't really an issue. However, here's where the story takes a twist. While the initial speed is good, sustained transfers over large files tended to slow down noticeably after a few minutes. That's not a deal breaker for small stuff, but if you're transferring big video files, the throttling can be a real headache. Now, I want to get personal for a second. When I first got this USB, I had this vision of zipping through files at lightning speed, maybe even making my laptop jealous. Spoiler alert, the laptop stayed cooler than the DataTraveler. Yeah, it gets hot. And that's not just a minor annoyance. Excessive heat can degrade memory life and even cause momentary disconnects, which some users have reported. Imagine mid-transfer freeze or pop-ups saying your drive disconnected unexpectedly. Super frustrating when you're in crunch time. Kingston's might be built for durability, but heat management feels like an afterthought. If that sounds like a comedy plot, USB flash drive gets hotter than your morning coffee. You're not far off. Speaking of durability, let's get into the design. The cap protects the USB plug, which is great since losing caps has plagued so many portable drives. The loop for keychains, also practical, and you can juggle it with your keys without fearing a total detach. Color options add a nice touch of personality, which can reduce that awkward moment when someone grabs your wrong USB at work. All these elements are well thought out. But, and there's always a but, the plastic casing feels a bit too light and fragile. I dropped mine once on a hard floor and the case developed tiny cracks. Not ideal for a device you carry everywhere. Maybe it's a gentle reminder that despite its cool features, the DataTraveler Exodia requires some TLC and isn't invincible. Now, who should consider buying this USB? If your data transfer needs are light and you want a stylish, budget-friendly, plug-and-play thumb drive with decent performance, this might work. Parents backing up family photos, students exchanging documents, or office workers sharing slides. This device ticks enough boxes. On the flip side, professionals needing heavy-duty speed and ultra-reliable hardware might want to look elsewhere. And yes, While the price is competitive at $13.99, the trade-offs are real. Here's a little tidbit that might make you smile or groan. A joke about USB drives. Why did the USB stick start exercising? Because it couldn't handle the load anymore. Okay, I'll stick to reviews, but humor aside, the DataTraveler Exodia sometimes struggles with sustained performance loads, so keep that in mind. Storage capacity ranges up to 256 GB, which covers most users' needs adequately. I tested the 128 GB model, and it was fast enough for general file storage, music collections, and even some video files. Importantly, Kingston offers free technical support, a big comfort for users unfamiliar with troubleshooting flash drives. Legendary Kingston reliability is advertised, and while true to their brand, this product feels like an entry-level offering needing careful handling to maximize its lifespan. Rehook moment. Ever had a flash drive that unexpectedly disconnected and corrupted your data? Sadly, that's where the DataTraveler Exodia sometimes falls short. But don't lose hope. I'll tell you how to avoid those pitfalls and make the most of this device's strengths a little later. Let's get technical for a moment. Kingston uses NAND flash memory in these drives, which is the standard in almost every USB flash device today. The USB 3.2 Gen 1 interface, despite the buzz, is basically USB 3.0 in terms of speeds, and is backwards compatible with USB 2.0 ports. Transfer rates on paper reach 5 Gbps, but actual performance depends on your computer and the files you transfer. Small files transfer quickly but cause more overhead, so if you're moving thousands of tiny files, expect slower overall speeds. Larger files fare better, up until the drive heats up and throttles speed. In my tests, copying mixed folders of photos, docs, and videos took longer than expected. Another user pain point is the cap design. While meant to protect the plug and prevent dust buildup, the cap can sometimes get loose after repeated use. Losing the cap would expose the USB connector, risking damage. It's a small risk, but considering the device's price, one would expect a sturdier cap. Getting a joke in here, why did the USB cap break up with the plug? Because it felt detached. Alright, back to the review. Now, why does heat matter beyond comfort? The thermal buildup inside the flash drive can shorten its lifespan and cause data corruption if it cuts out mid-transfer. Kingston's Exodia lacks active cooling, unsurprisingly, but it also doesn't have passive ventilation designed to dissipate the heat efficiently. So if you're copying large files or using it constantly, the risk of overheating and disconnections rises. Rehook time. Want to know the best way to prevent these disconnections and keep your files safe? Stick with me, I'll cover some simple tips in just a moment that can save you headaches. Another significant factor is compatibility. Kingston asserts it works well with Chrome OS and other popular platforms, which is great for Chromebook users and general Windows folks. Mac compatibility isn't explicitly mentioned, but users report it works fine for basic file transfers. Plug and play, no drivers needed, so for most daily tasks, setup is painless. However, if you want to use specialized encryption software or backup utilities, you might face limitations due to the basic nature of this drive. Storytelling moment. One customer shared how the DataTraveler Exodia saved them during a last-minute presentation. No fancy specs needed, just quick simple transfers from a school PC to their laptop, and the job was done. That's a perfect anecdote showing where the device shines. Simple, reliable storage when you're not pushing boundaries. So, can I recommend the Kingston DataTraveler Exodia? Yes, with some important caveats. It's perfect if you need affordable, casual, everyday USB storage that's easy to use and looks decent. However, if you rely on it for very heavy workloads, continuous large transfers, or rugged use, you might want to spend a little more for something with better heat management and build quality. Kingston has other premium lines for that. Before wrapping up, Here are my quick tips to maximize your experience with this USB. 1. Avoid transferring massive files all at once. Break them into smaller batches to prevent overheating. 2. Always eject safely to avoid data corruption. 3. Use the keyring loop to minimize loss or dropping. 4. Keep an eye on the cap so you don't lose it. Adding some humor here again. Why don't USB drives ever get lost? Because they always stick around. Seriously though, the keyring loop is a bonus to keep it attached and accessible. In conclusion, the Kingston DataTraveler Exodia offers decent USB 3.2 Gen 1 transfer speeds, convenient design elements, and good compatibility for users needing reliable, casual storage. But its tendency to heat up and performance throttling can ruin the experience during heavy-duty use. Important to remember before you buy. At $13.99, it's accessible but not perfect. Thankfully, Kingston's free technical support is there if you need help. If you want to grab one and test it out for yourself, check the link in the description for the best price on Amazon. Prices change fast, so don't wait too long. Whether this USB matches your needs depends mostly on how intense your file transfers are. For light to medium use, it's a solid choice with a few quirks. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe for more honest product reviews to save you time, money, and headaches. See you in the next one.